So all the episodes of Creative Talks up to this point have been through web conference, and this one is special because it's the first in-person conversation. I tag along with Sam, a local street photographer, and I pick his brain about his process and his journey up to this point. So, Sam, introduce yourself.
What's up? I am Sammy Rivera. I am a Philadelphia street photographer, or so I like to think. We are here in Rittenhouse to start our day, our little journey for the day, our little sesh, and yeah.
Bet. So, what are you shooting with today, Sam?
So this is my standard setup. I got my little Fuji X-T30 with my little 27 millimeter pancake guy with like 41 equivalent with the crop sensor. So nice and simple. It goes right in my pocket. Goes everywhere. You know, it's non-intrusive and it does the job.
So, what's our route today, Sam?
So we're gonna pretty much hit like typical route for me. We're gonna make our way east from here. Take Walnut, Chestnut, make our way down to Broad Street, City Hall. From there, we're gonna keep heading east, head down Market Street, see where we end up from there. Might take a lap around Chinatown. We're gonna feel it out. Low-key saw this guy walking up over here. I wanna try to get in close and see if I can't pull it off. I'm gonna come on this side. All right. I did begin. Hey, what's up, man? How you doing? I'll see you tomorrow. So homie's a jewelry vendor. Yeah, I did start my photography journey while home in New Jersey, but definitely didn't really lend to the photographer I am today or the kind of work that I do these days. It's been almost 15 years since I started, but at the very beginning it was very much like, it was like a wannabe hippie, and I was like, oh, nature's my thing, you know what I mean? So I just shot we had like bays and sunsets and like woods trails that were just not very interesting. And that was my idea of photography, like Nat Geo, as many other photographers are, But when I came to Philly for school, that was when my photo horizons were broadened. Prior to that, I was like, I don't want to do any work with people, nothing, And then I got here and I was like, I went all in from like portraits, which I never wanted to do, to events, and I was a big concert photographer for a few years, and like local hardcore, metalcore, deathcore scenes and stuff in the tri-state area. I did all kinds of stuff. I was exposed to street photography, and then that was really what did it once I got out here. I like to think, I was always kind of intrigued by historical images, kind of things I would see in my textbooks and stuff in school and whatever, but I wasn't really hip to street photography as something that existed until school. And even a little bit before then, as I discovered Nat Geo, I saw some photojournalism and travel photography that was of people and conditions in other countries and not just landscapes and stuff, and I thought that was cool, and that maybe was the first spark of interest there. But it wasn't until my first year at school we took a trip to the Philly Art Museum because there was a Dave Heath exhibition with a bunch of his work from Multitude Solitude. And that was the defining moment. I was in that space and I saw those prints and I was like, this is incredible. Like, those were the kind of images, like, it immediately spoke to me. It was so impactful, such a powerful moment for me. And like right away I was like, this is like the kind of thing I need to be doing. I knew like from that moment, like that was it, you feel me? Like it just hit me so hard. His images are just incredible. He was like a master printer.
What makes you click the shutter? Like, what draws your attention?
Right. It's kind of hard to put in words sometimes. I feel like it's definitely changed a little bit in recent times, or this year. I've become a little more selective. But it ranges from like obvious moments of like key things happening to just like a nice alignment of subject matter. Like it's really weird. I don't know how to quite explain it, but I get like a feeling. Like I can like sense when something's about to line up or happen, and like I just like it's instinctual. You know, it's a funny analogy I thought of recently. For any anime fans, I'm not a huge Demon Slayer fan, but in Demon Slayer, when Tanjiro, like the line that like I don't remember how they described it in the show, but when he knows when to strike with his sword, like that line like tightens or whatever, and then that like that's the key for him to strike. I feel like it's like that with like an image, and bam, you know. A lot of instinct, and just from repetition and from doing it so long, like I can kind of recognize, I can see people coming down from the street that I think might be an interesting subject, or if it's light. I'm a believer that there's no such thing as bad light. I get so many freaking overcast days when I go out to shoot that a lot of people complain about that, but for me it's really helped me to not rely on just images that work out because of elements outside of my control, like the light or whatever. Like it's taught me to like really be keen on the subjects that I'm choosing. I used to like spray and pray a lot more than I do now, and sometimes I still do. Seeing so much failure has made it easier for me to kind of know in real time what is going to be a success. Dude, this is a hill I'll die on. I will die on this hill. I have this conversation fairly often. Yo, sidebar, this dude is so good. He kills it. I see him out here every once in a while. You know, this guy can spit.
You know, my brother been again. Shout out to my homie recording. My name is Sebastian. You know, my brother always sorted. Many dope verses got the camera. I'm spitting something hyper record. Really got the stamina. Never cursing in my raps. I do this for my city. My name is Sebastian. You know, I'm born and raised up in Philly. I'm bringing that you feel me smiles on many faces. Freestyling from the top. I'm gonna rock the stage, kid. I'm gonna rock the stage. I can do this for days. Shout out to my homie with the press hoodie on. For days, my homie got the spider jacket. I meant to say spider shirt. You know we can't hack it with the A-ball, with the Adidas strap. My name is Sebastian. You know my brother always slinging facts. This is not a fable. This is not a fable. Bring up real lyricism.
Dude. Anyways, yeah. My take is I don't really care if you shoot film or digital, and as a matter of fact, I almost don't even want to know. I'm not going to say one is better than the other, or one is right, one is wrong. Both have their merit. It's up to you what works for you. Like I just explained a large portion of why digital works for me. And I believe there's merit in film. But my thing with film is that so many people get so hung up on just on the fact that an image is taken with film, that they're not even like looking at the image. It's like they don't care about what the image is, what's in it, if the image is good or not, what the circumstances were to make that image or anything about it. They're just like, whoa, film, oh, that's so cool, wow. And I don't know. To me, it's not about the tool or the medium, film or digital. It's about the photographer. if you're a good photographer, you're gonna make good images whether you shoot film or digital. Some of my, I'm not a film person. I do not care for film. I don't care to shoot film. Some of my favorite photographers are film photographers, old and current day. And that's awesome. I don't care about their medium. I just want to see the images. Are they bangers or not?
If you only could use one focal length,
Yeah.
what would that be and why?
To be honest, probably what I got right here. I mean, this is a crop sensor, so it's not the lens, it's like the equivalent. This is just so close to, you know, how the eye sees at 41. I think like the true, one of the actual lengths, 35 or 50 or 55, whatever. I don't know. I'm not a. One of those is true to like the eye's focal length or whatever. This is pretty close. I've just never been someone who could afford anything. So, you know, until last year, my entire photography career was kit lens, you know, good old 1855, baby. You know, and that was everything I shot. And you know, that was all I knew because that was all I could afford. I couldn't afford to buy lenses. I had all these homies who would buy a lens a week, a new piece of gear a week, and I was just like, damn, bro, how do you do it? I don't, you know. Last April, saved up some money and bought this bad boy. And the crazy thing is, it wasn't even that expensive of a lens. It's only $400, but that was a huge deal for me. Excuse me, it's okay if you sit down. Can I take a picture of your dog? Yo, thank you. Oh my God, what's his name?
His name's Poppy.
What was it?
Poppy.
Poppy. Oh my God, I love it. What's up, Poppy? Yo, that's little man's right there. Thank you so much. Y'all have a good one. That's been a big thing for me, is actually interacting with my subjects lately. I used to be so like, I don't want to say terrified of doing that. I would do it once in a while, but it just wasn't my thing. I wanted to be like the fly on the wall. You know, that's what how a lot of street photographers operate. But lately that's felt so much more rewarding to me. And it's kind of also like, again, with this lens, like I've kind of changed a lot of the ways I operate in general. Like, I don't try to like hide that I'm doing this anymore when I'm in public. It opens up opportunities like that. Like a lot of times people approach me and they're like, yo, take my picture. And I'm like, hell yeah. And that's always just beautiful moments of interactions. I think we as a society and people need that. You know, there's just so much bad, you know, it's nice to just be humans with each other, you know?
What do you make of taking pictures of people that are down on their luck, like the homeless?
Yeah.
Do you shy away from that, or do you take those pictures?
Right. Generally, yo, crazy. Anyway, I'm gonna keep it rolling. Generally, yeah, I don't really partake too much in that. I think if there's, like, I also would say, like, reality is reality and all of it deserves to be shown, but it's about how you do it and what you're showing. Like, if there's a purpose to the image you're making of somebody that's down on their luck, or if there's like another element in the frame that you can draw some kind of comparison to, or that it's saying something about the way these people are treated in society, if there's some kind of narrative and it's a well executed image, like, those are really powerful and I think they're important. But a lot, like, those are some of the hardest images to make, and you know, sometimes even the act of doing that, even if it's well intentioned, it can do more harm than good. you know, it's very much a case-by-case thing, in my opinion. For me, it's like if it's a powerful enough moment and I can recognize it, I'll go for it, but that's pretty rare.
For you personally, Sam, what do you get out of doing street photography?
Yeah, it's just it's so fulfilling and rewarding for me. In a couple different routes. Like for one, like I don't know what the hell else I would do with my life. You know, I didn't go to I didn't prioritize school very much toward the tail end of my years in high school and such. And then I went to art school or photography school. It wasn't so much an art school as it was a career school, but you know, so my point being, like, I'm not the most educated or qualified for other fields of work. I started working when I was 14. I'm 28 now, and until I decided to be a full-time artist, you know, almost a year ago, all I've ever known is food service and retail. So it's like this for me. It's like I have nothing else. You know what I mean? And even that, even just the practice of it, you know, that bit of it aside, it's just rewarding to be able to make something, you know, whether it was this or, you know, painting or what have you. You know, being able to create something, whatever the medium it is just like a rewarding thing to be able to do, and it feels good, you know, when I have something that I created from my own vision that I can like then look at and say, I made this, you know, I brought something into the world and this means something to me, this is something I experienced.
Do you see a difference in taking a picture versus creating a picture?
Circle back this way, head to City Hall, and then head down Market. I like yes and no. Yes, in the sense, so like when I was in school, they, like linguistically, they taught us like you don't take pictures, you make photographs, because they wanted you to assert a level of seriousness into what you're doing and separate yourself from the fact that, you know, going back to the digital versus film thing is like, you know, anyone can just take a picture, you know, you just press a button, it's digital, whatever. So they wanted us to separate ourselves from that as like serious practitioners of our craft. And that stuck with me, and I always, you know, continued to use that language and viewed it that way. But that being said, some of my favorite images to look at are not made by photographers. Like, I love just looking at snapshots and just pictures people take of their friends and like youth culture stuff and family photo albums. Like, those are some of the best photos that exist in the world.
What's your favorite picture that you've ever taken?
Oh man, yeah. I get asked this a lot, and I never. Oh my lord! Some kind of bug like flew in my ear or something. Anyways, I get asked this a lot, and like 9 times out of 10, I do not have an actual answer. I'm gonna get on your left. Yeah, it's hard to say. I've taken so many and it's been so long. So I have a lot of images that I'm proud of. I'll say it's between like 3 right now. I have this photo I took in Amsterdam that is there's like a big transportation / bus center. It's incredible, like architecture-wise. And it's just lots of shapes and curves and lines, and it's like really sick. And it was just a nice it was just, I think it's one of my strongest images compositionally speaking. I have another image that I took last year actually at that corner of the church. The scaffolding was not there, but there was kind of like some kind of construction or something going on. But it was a family waiting for a bus, and it's like a mom and her kids. It's just a wholesome moment to me, and on top of that, like, I just love photographing public transit. Like I said, I take a lot of photos on the L because that's just such an integral part of my life. It's an everyday thing, and I think the concept of just waiting is something that I try to capture because I do it so much, and just that anticipation of having to get from one place to the other and the time it takes to do so when you're not on your own time and you don't have a vehicle and you live in the city and your time is not your own. Yeah, so there's that. And kids are just funny, man. Like, they live so uninhibitedly and they make some of the best subject matter, like the kids that were just playing in the fountain. Like, I know, like, mentally ill and homeless people is like a taboo. Kids are often considered a taboo to photograph. Kids, I think there's a lot more leeway, in my opinion, than folks who are down on their luck. Because, I mean, parents or anyone else observing what I'm doing may not have any context or know what I'm doing, but I have no ill intent, and they just live life, man, and they make great images. What adult do you see that's flipping upside down at a bus stop? Like, you know what I mean? Or playing in the fountain. It just makes great images. That's like life.
What do you make of street photography and privacy?
You know, it's kind of just one of those things, like, we know what we're getting into when we do this, and you just gotta approach it with a sense of care. It's not my goal to make nobody uncomfortable. That comes into play with, like I was saying before, about I'm trying to be more open with what I'm doing and not hiding it, because I want people to, like I said, like, I want it to be normalized. I want people to see that I mean no ill and I'm upfront about it. I don't have anything to hide. So, you know, I want it to be shown that this is something that is done and it should be normal. There was a day when it was normal to have a camera in your hand. Like, what happened to that? Now, like, if it's not a phone, you're getting looked at like, the hell, what are you doing? And that's one of the reasons I, you know, downgraded from my DSLR to something so less intrusive, is that, you know, to help not make people so uncomfortable with this big piece of equipment in their face. Yo, feel free to say no. Can I take y'all a picture?
Catch me, William.
Yo, word, say less. Yo. Yeah. Yo, come. Yes. You gotta spin it back one more time. My bad. Yes! That's sick. Hell yeah, I appreciate that.
For my grandpa. Thank
yeah,
you,
of course. Yeah, so thinking about, like, what these artists do, funny while we're on that topic, back in the winter, this is a gallery right here, and I had some work in here for an exhibition for a few months. It was pretty cool.
You had a few gallery shows and you have one coming up. Tell me about it.
So, part of looking into, you know, the whole art career thing is, like, applying, like, getting your work out there, applying for opportunities, submitting for these opportunities and things. The biggest pill to swallow was, like, for a lot of years, like, I was just, and you hear it all the time, but the thing of, like, your work can be the best. You can have great work, but if you don't put it out there, you know, you're not just gonna get discovered. You can, you know, be the best artist in the world, but that doesn't mean you're gonna make it. You gotta put in the other side of things, the other kind of work that comes along with that career. And that's, you know, submitting to contests, applying for publications, exhibitions, residencies, doing community work, being a part of groups and collectives, and getting to know your community and the other people who do the thing that you do, getting to know galleries and curators and all of that. And on the community side of things, so I've been living in Philly, if you count the 2 years that I was in school, for 8 years now, 6 as an actual resident. And dude, for so long, I didn't know any of the other street photographers out here. I kind of kept in my own little bubble, and I didn't really care to venture out and get to know people. I was probably a little conceited and thought I was the shit when I was not. I think that really held me back, because last year, I knew a couple of guys, but come to find out there were so many of us out here. I always, was like, this isn't New York, it's Philly. But they're all here. There's so many of us, and I feel so grateful to have been able to meet and connect with them, and that they consider me a friend and colleague, and I do the same of them. So last year I got a job at Sweet Green downtown, and that was, of all the jobs I've worked out here, that was my first job downtown, and that made a huge difference because it forced me to be out here every day. Before and or after work, I would just do my rounds, and I was out here anyway, so I had to do it, and that was really good for me. And from then being consistently out so much, I started running into all these other guys, and one by one I just started meeting them all every day. And it's funny, we always joke about 15th and Chestnut is the meeting spot, because that's where we just coincidentally, it's a great intersection with great light in the afternoon, and we wouldn't even try. You just show up there and there's going to be another street photographer there. And yeah, I got to know them all, and so they are a collective called Public Ledger, and they had their first group show last year, and then they welcomed me into their ranks, and we are gearing up for the second group show. Do I want to go that way or this way? Let's go this way. No, I lied, we're gonna go that way. Saturday, September 20th, here in Philly in Fishtown at True Hand Tattoo Studio, is the second Public Ledger group show. And it's gonna be sick. There are 17 of us showing work, and it's truly such a high quality group of photographers and images that are gonna be in the show. So these guys, I put a lot of these guys up there with the greats from back in the day. They're my favorite photographers, alongside, Dave Heath and, Bresson and Meyerowitz and all those guys. Not being a famous artist or photographer, I didn't have the backing of publishers or anyone who was yeah, I'll make this book for you. So I was I'll just do it myself. So taught myself bookbinding and started making books, and it's really fun and really rewarding, and you get a physical collection that you can hold in your hand that you made yourself, and it has all your work in it, and it's the coolest thing. Yeah, so I just start really going in on that, and pushing the fact that I sell prints. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's slow, but if you're not doing it, you're not gonna get it, and it took for years. I would try to sell prints and would just have no luck. I'd be posting about it all the time, but it takes not just being on social media, going to events, like I said, doing community things, meeting people, getting involved in your city, your area, and making connections with people that people are gonna be willing to give you a platform to do things. I just met a guy who owns a bar. He saw my work and he's like, dude, come do First Friday at my bar. So this upcoming First Friday of August on the 1st, the First Friday happens to be the 1st, I believe. I'm gonna have 10 to 18 pieces, however many I can fit. Just me on this entire wall of this bar for First Friday, like, so, you know, it just takes putting yourself out there for real, and not stopping or giving up when it doesn't work, because like I said, I've been going at this almost 15 years now. It takes that dedication. And, you know, all this to say, like, I make a living off of it, but I'm not living lavishly by any means, and it's also not to say that that's not possible, but I live very simply and cheaply. I have very cheap rent. My bills are paid, and, you know, that's a blessing, but it's not much more than that. And I still do side work from here and there when I need it. So, you know, but it's possible. And the fact that I'm getting to that point, it feels so good. Every day that I wake up and don't have to go to a job I hate is a blessing.
What are your thoughts on printing in photography? Because, you know, you have people that keep their pictures on hard drives or negatives and they never see the light of day.
Definitely think printing is very important for a number of reasons. But it also kind of depends on what your goal is, though. It might be more important to some than it is to others, but I'll speak to my experience. Yeah, when I got my first printer with my COVID money, bro, like, that was a game changer. Even in school, like, I just loved being in the lab and printing, even if it was digitally. Go back to the film versus digital thing. Like I said, like, if film works for you, that's awesome. I believe there's more merit in the printing part of film than there is of shooting film, in my opinion, because that, I think, has more to do with the end result. Yeah, when I got my own printer a couple years ago, I got the same feeling printing digitally, but, you know, when they say when you're in a dark room and, you know, the image shows up on the paper, when it's in the chemicals and stuff, like how magical that is. I get the same feeling watching this. I print a lot of like 13 by 19, which is not huge, but it's big. I get the same feeling watching it come out of the printer, like bit by bit by bit by bit, and I'm like, oh wow, yeah, look at that. And then I hold it up and it's so big, much bigger than the tiny little device screen. And I'm like, wow, this is so cool. And it's a different way of seeing it, and as much as it's probably a bit easier to print digitally than in a darkroom to get the true end result, you know, final print and final look of your image, it still is not just hit print and you get your image perfect. Like, you gotta do a fair amount of work. You can edit an image in Lightroom or however you edit digitally, and then print it, and it'll still be a little bit off, and you gotta still adjust it, you know, almost have like a second working copy of that image for print versus sharing digitally, whether it's adjusting the color hue, you know, it might print a little bit magenta, or in my case, the shadows don't come quite as dark in the print as they do digitally, so I gotta like account for that and darken my shadows and my blacks a little bit before I print. And that's just something I know to do and kind of have nailed down at this point. So, you know, it's not quite as intensive every time I make a print.
What do you do when you hit a creative block? I'm interested because you do this full time.
Yeah. Oh my God, this is a topic I am very familiar with. If it's a physical feeling and I'm fatigued, I gotta listen to my body and rest. But sometimes it's a mental thing, and that can come from any way or reasoning. If it's like a block, sometimes it's the opposite of doing nothing. If I'm feeling uncreative or like I'm struggling to make images, but I'm not necessarily like fatigued, it's just like I'm in a creative block, the opposite helps me, where I just force myself to go out. Even if I'm not inspired or I feel like I haven't been making any good images, I gotta force myself to go out in downtown, go into the streets and keep making images, and that keeps me in practice. And a lot of the times I surprise myself and, like, you know, I'll be all bummed and I'm like, I'm not doing anything, and then I force myself out even when I don't want to, and then, you know, something cool happens or it doesn't. But, you know, even if I don't make anything that day, it forces me out of that rut, and I'm like, all right, the gears are turning again, and I can, you know, get back into the swing of it. I put out a book called Chapter Black, and that was kind of a response to what was like the lowest point of my life, and a point where I very much wanted to give up on photography, and for like reasons of outside of my own mental being, like I had to start my career from scratch. I kind of was in a scenario where I pretty much lost everything, wanted to give up so bad. I was like, if there's a point, like I'm at rock bottom and I have nothing. I lost all my equipment, all my work, all my hard drives, all my money. I lost everything. So like, shit, I could give up now and go to living a normal life where I'm not this crazy person doing this crazy thing, you know, and forcing myself to not have any free time, and you know, I could just be a normal person and work a normal job and come home and relax every day instead of doing this insane thing that I do.
Are you the camper type, or do you walk on?
Like 95% walk, like 5% camp. Like it very much depends on the circumstances. I will do it, but most of the time I like to just keep it moving. Even like at the very start of when we started filming the guy in the park with the newspaper and stuff, like even if like it's a shot and I know I can go back and like try it again, like, or even try it differently, maybe I could have asked him like, hey, can I take a picture instead of how I went by? Like, even in circumstances like that, like something in me is like, after I shoot it, I gotta keep moving. Like,
what's more important to you, to compose or the moment?
Yeah. Moment. However, recently I've been trying to really utilize both. I'm gonna always say the moment is more important. Though I do have some images that were definitely very carefully composed, like the Amsterdam image I was talking about earlier with the bike. Nowadays, because that was some years ago, I'm very strictly like on the moment. But I'm trying to just make the best images I can. So like while I'm focused on the moment, because that's the heart and soul of the image, I'm also trying to put some effort to also compose it as best as I can. I think, you know, it's both sides of the coin, but I'm gonna prioritize the moment always. There's a guy on top of a truck over there. Maybe that'll be something cool, or maybe it won't. We'll see. Well, that certainly is a guy on a truck. You know, like the thing of it is, like, I'm a street photographer, but at the end of the day, like, we're documenting our lives. At least that's, you know, how I've tried to approach it. And for those who know Dante Sisypho, the living legend, that's how he approaches it as well, and we've had great conversations about that. You know, that it's about more than just being in the streets. I just want to make pictures, and so I'm photographing any chance I get of anything that is interesting or important to me, especially my friends. I love photographing my friends. Oh, hurry! One of my biggest influences was the project The Kids Were All Right by Ryan McGinley, and that was like a photo book of like youth culture in the 90s. And it's not street photography, but it's photos this guy took of his friends in New York, and it's just some of the best imagery I've ever seen. It makes me think of my friends and the shenanigans we got into in our youth and such. And it just feels nostalgic and very familiar. Loud horn. This guy's really good too. But these last couple of years, this year and last year in particularly, I'm more in love with photography than I've ever been in my life. I feel so good about it right now, and it feels so incredible to feel that way. And I think it's come from just having a new outlook on life and approaching my life in a different way, and all the work that I've put into, you know, bettering myself and just enjoying being alive. Like from the last 2 years, like I can say I'm like genuinely a happy person, which for so long I was not able to say. And at sometimes still, like, it's kind of scary because it's like so unfamiliar, which is like crazy. Like sometimes I get overwhelmed and I get sad because I don't know how to be happy, which is like really weird and kind of corny, but like it's an overwhelming feeling just being happy. But I think that's, now that I've gotten to that point, I'm able to put myself out there. And I think to do this kind of work, you have to enjoy life. And you know, there's a lot of bad in life and in the world and in society, and it all stresses me out very much. But being able to enjoy the good in it, I think is so, so important.
I know the answer to this one, but color or black and white?
Definitely black and white, hands down. I love both. I used to shoot a lot more color, and I love looking at color work when it's done really well. But for me, black and white's just really special. It's what I enjoy, and I think it just lends well to the vision I'm trying to get across more than color does for me, in my opinion. I'm just a black and white guy.
So where can people keep up with you, your progress, and your prints?
Best way to keep up with me would be my Instagram, and my website is just sammyriveraphotography.com, but that's in the link in my Instagram bio, so we'll go with Instagram.
Awesome. Sam, thank you for your time. Appreciate
Thank you, dude. This was so cool.
Peace.
Yo, see ya.
Look at the camera, the lights and the action. Look at the plan, look at the reaction. Look at the way that we taking advantage. You see me now look at me vanish. Look at the way that we doing the magic. Look at the way that we dropping the bag.